بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا وأنت تجعل الحزن إذا شئت سهلا. Brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You've all heard about the work of HHUGS and some of the individuals who have been campaigned for by HHUGS. A lot of the time I spend in the work that I do includes visiting a lot of the prisoners, former prisoners, people on control orders, deportation orders, bail orders, and sometimes knowing the difference is very difficult. But I can promise you that each one of these brothers, these individuals, their wives and their children, know exactly the difference between a bail order, a control order, and a deportation order, because they live it every day. And there's a huge difference between one who talks about an issue and one who has felt it, lived it, and experienced it. There is no substitute for experience. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran that are those who know equal to those who don't know? Those who have knowledge, are they equal to those who have no knowledge? And in this way also, once you've armed yourself with the knowledge that you have from what you've learned this evening, you should be in no doubt that working for the issues regarding the prisoners and those their families who are being affected by anti-terror legislation is a fard. And if we abandon this fard, then we are all sinful. And if some of us are doing this, like HHUGS, then that lifts the sin off our necks. So HHUGS is helping you to lift the sin off your neck, freeing the prisoner, and working for the families of the prisoners is a duty upon all Muslims. And in fact, we've seen that HHUGS is supported by non-Muslims even. And the work that they do has left some of us Muslims and put us to shame. But I just wanted, before I begin this fundraising thing that I've been told to do, I want to tell you about something that will raise your hopes up about individuals and who they are. One of the families that wasn't mentioned is the family of Shaker Amer. And you may not know this brother, but we know him as Sawad al-Madani. And those of us who ever came across this man will never forget him in our lives, ever. I lived together with this brother and his family in Afghanistan during the time of the Taliban. He lived on the top floor, I lived at the bottom floor. My children played with his children. Before that, we used to live together here in the UK, and those of the brothers from London who've ever met him also say they will never forget him. He is, as they say in the Arabic, a rajul habib, somebody beloved. And indeed in Guantanamo, he is the most well-known prisoner. Everybody knows Shaker Amer, the professor. He's not a professor, brothers and sisters. He hasn't even passed grade school. But he's one of the most intelligent, strong, powerful, and emotive brothers you will ever come across. If all of us, the most well-known speakers all around the country and others, were placed in a line and you spoke to Shaker Amer, you would forget all of us and remember him. He's such a character. He is the Batal of Guantanamo. The right word to translate this word is hero, but hero is just too pathetic. He is somebody of courage, somebody of standing firm in the face of tyranny and oppression, and he spent the majority of his time in Guantanamo as a result of that in solitary confinement. He's been force-fed. Sometimes that means being seated, forced into a chair, with his hands tied, with his legs tied, with his head tied, and a tube pushed up his nose to force in liquid food because he's on a hunger strike. Shaker Amer has led what's known the battle for Guantanamo. And for this, he pays the price. 9 years later, brothers and sisters, he's still there. His children, Juhaina, Abdullah, Abdurrahman and Faris, have not seen him for 9 years. In fact, Faris, who's his youngest child, has never seen his father. And they are all recipients of support from HHUGS. They are a HHUGS family. They should be the most well-known family in the country, at least amongst Muslims, because of what they've gone through. Shaker Amer himself, in addition to the qualities he has as a man, somebody who speaks Arabic, somebody who is an Arab, from Medina, from the city of Medina al-Munawwar. That's where he was born and raised and lived most of his life until he came to the UK and got married to his sister here. In addition to that, his qualities precede everything that I've told you about. And because of what's happened to him and because of what's happened to his family, you can see the entire community around him, everybody who ever knew him, has been affected by it. I recently spoke to a brother who was returned from Guantanamo to Slovakia. And he said some things to me that had me crying on the phone. He said, "Brother Hudayfa, he still remembers you very well. He prays for you. He's not forgotten all the brothers. In fact, he remembers all the brothers he knew and sisters in his prayers every day." And there's one thing that I must tell you before I start this, and this is, we've spoken about how this affects Muslims, but I just want to tell you something about how it's affected the non-Muslims. And not just ordinary non-Muslims, the enemy. The people who are on the opposite side of the cages, the people who were dressed in khaki combat gear while we were dressed in orange. Shaker Amer was in solitary confinement like me, Camp Echo, which was maximum security isolation block. One of the soldiers came and told me this story. He said, do you know Shaker Amer? Do you know the professor? I said, yes, he's one of my closest friends. He said, that guy's amazing. I can't believe what he did. He said that he produced a photograph of these children. And he said, these children are more beloved to me than anything in my life. And then he started talking to this soldier about Islam, calling him to Islam, saying you should accept Islam for your salvation. And then he said, but my calling you to Islam is more beloved to me than my beloved children. When the soldier told me this, he had tears in his eyes. The soldier, the American soldier who had been told that we are the worst of the worst, that this guy is one of the most dangerous men on the planet, the one who was told that these people would bite through the cable of an aircraft to bring it down. The soldier had tears in his eyes. With that, my brothers and sisters, I want you to, if you wanted any more convincing about this evening giving money towards HHUGS and what sort of people you are supporting, this is the type of people you are supporting. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says of them, وَمِنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ رِجَالٌ صَدَقُوا مَا عَهَدُ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ قَضَى نَحْبَهُ وَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ يَنْتَظِرُ وَمَا بَدَّلُوا تَبْدِيلًا. That amongst the believers are those who are truthful to the covenant that they made with their Lord. And amongst those are people who have left, and amongst those are people who are still waiting, and they never changed one iota. They stood firm. So stand firm with us today, this evening, brothers and sisters, inshallah, when you are giving money towards HHUGS. Shaker Amer's children, let me just tell you about Shaker's daughter in particular. Her name is Johanna. She's now 12 years old. I remember when we used to be living in Afghanistan together in the same house, my kids used to play with her and her brothers and sisters. And when I came back from Guantanamo, it was in 2005. Shaker was still in Guantanamo. I went to go and visit Shaker's family, his wife and kids. The girl had grown up, but she still remembered me. And she wouldn't speak to me because she was crying. And she was crying because she remembered me, and she remembered that the last time she saw me, she saw her father. Think about this, brothers and sisters. Think about this, sisters. Think about this. Think about your sister and your relatives. That if they were to go through this thing, what would you not do to get them free? What would you not do to help them? Think about this, because this is the essence of the organization of HHUGS. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept all of our deeds in this Ramadan, to accept our siyam and our qiyam and our tilawat al-Quran, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives all of our sins, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala frees the prisoners, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings deliverance to the families of the prisoners, and that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings victory back to this ummah. Wa barakallahu feekum. Subhanakallahu wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.